What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And today we are going to be talking about what do you do if counting macros just isn't doable for you, or you've tried it and it's just been like not a good fit for your life. I can think of a couple of reasons why this might be the case. Some people, it's just really not good for their mental health to be keeping track of all these numbers and like thinking like, oh, like if I do this, then I should exercise this much, or like, oh no, I went over 300 calories, should I burn 300 calories on the treadmill and all this stuff. So counting macros won't be for everybody. And I totally get that. I think it would be very narrow-minded for me as like a body recomposition. I hate the term coach, but coach or whatever, I think it'd be very narrow-minded for me to just demand that everybody do that. I think you'd be best to try first if you can. But if it legitimately becomes an issue in your life for that reason, or another good issue, I was talking with a friend the other day, is people who might be vegan could have a hard time with tracking their macros because they are always cooking with a lot of produce, and produce can be hard to measure. If you're getting it from different locations like health markets, you don't really know the caloric value of some of the stuff. Also, there can be a ton of ingredients, so it just becomes very tedious to weigh it all. If you cook anything in bulk, you've basically got to figure out how to like weigh the bulk dish, and then it just winds up being mathematically taxing and just too much for some people. So without beating a dead horse about that, what do you actually do if counting macros isn't possible for you? And when I was thinking about this, I could really only boil it down to two helpful pieces of advice, in my opinion. They're basically two sides of the calorie deficit coin, right? So if fat loss is the goal, and you find yourself not being able to count macros for a variety of reasons, what do you do? Firstly, I would press into a fad diet that sort of essentially demands a caloric deficit by default. So I know it's weird advice. I don't like telling people that maybe you should consider doing a fad diet, because I think fad diet carries this connotation of silliness, and largely I think it does, but fad diets can work for people, or maybe a better word for it is elimination diets of some kind. They work for people because they do just remove foods from your diet. If the point of losing fat is to get into a caloric deficit, either through a reduction in food or from increased energy expenditure, it makes sense that you would pull something out of your diet and get results. So a couple specific examples. The ketogenic diet. I've never done it, never tried it. People get results. Why? Because now all of a sudden, you can't really have carbohydrates in any meaningful sense. You can have maybe 50 grams from vegetables and things like that, but think about all the foods that you are no longer eating. You're no longer eating pizza. Forget about it. You're no longer eating cake. You're no longer eating really anything with sugar, because sugar is a carbohydrate. You're really, you're pulling out things like Pop-Tarts, you're pulling out bread, you're pulling out pasta, you're pulling out a lot of fruit. You're pulling out grains. You're pulling out a lot of beans. It's just in my opinion, it's kind of a strange diet. I don't mean to speak poorly of it. It's a very, very restrictive diet in my opinion. In the few experiences I've had with people in real life doing keto, it's like a lot of peanut butter and a lot of cheese and a lot of meat, and it's just personally not something that I want to do. But you could do it, like if you're like, I'm not counting macros, lean into something like the ketogenic diet. It might work for you. And if it does work for you, just know that it's not magic. It's just a caloric deficit in practice without you tracking your macros. Another, like the flip side of this coin, well, in some sense, not really the flip, but a different angle to this would be a plant-based diet. You're like, I'm not gonna eat animal products anymore. That could work for you because, if you were eating a diet really high in animal products before, that maybe means you were consuming a lot of cheese, which is very calorically dense. Other dairy products can be calorically dense, even just like, whole milk's very dense. Creams, ice cream is going to be gone now because you're not doing that. Even some like fatty meats like salmon, even though salmon is very healthy, in the opinions of most, it does have a lot of calories, has a lot of fat in it. So if you just pulled all of those things out of your diet, you would probably lose weight. Again, elimination, you have to cut something out. You could even do something like Weight Watchers, right? Point system. It's very similar to counting macros. It's just very simplified, right? So there are ways to do it. And just to summarize my first point here is, if you're like, I'm not going to count macros, you're probably going to have to look to some kind of structured diet protocol that removes something so that you're just simply limited in the food you can eat. This could also include intermittent fasting. Again, I wouldn't say intermittent fasting is a fad, but if you used to eat 2 meals between 8 a.m. and 1 p.m. and now all of a sudden you ditch both of those and you eat your first meal at 2 p.m., you're probably just going to eat less, and you're probably not going to make up for those calories at dinner, especially if you like mindfully look at your meals in the dinner time hour and say, I'm not going to make up for the lost food. I'm just going to eat a normal dinner, and hopefully I'll just be satisfied. That's a great way to lose fat too, because you will be in a caloric deficit simply from missing out on 2 meals that you used to eat on a regular basis. My second piece of advice here would just be the other side of the coin completely, attacking the exercise piece, which would be you probably just need to find a hobby that burns a ton of calories by default. I've brought up CrossFit in a few contexts. I think CrossFit's really good. There are some like group cardio classes could be good. You could become somebody who just loves Orange Theory. I've never done Orange Theory, but I think the principle is that you just burn a ton of calories. And I think you could just do that. Another good hobby would be like if you have friends that like to play basketball, play basketball a few times a week. That's a great way to stay in shape. Golf can even be really good, assuming that you're actually walking the course and not riding in the cart. And assuming you're not consuming too many calorific beverages while golfing, you could get it ahead of the game and you could attack your fat loss just through extra movement. And I think it really is that simple. If you don't want to count macros, it's totally fine. You're just not going to have the luxuries of flexible dieting. One of the reasons that I love counting my macros is I know exactly what I get. I'm on a 3,700 calorie diet right now, and it's an absolute party. I mean, I eat, actually at this point, it's to where if I ate intuitively, I wouldn't get enough, probably. So at the end of the night, I am actually having to have like a 5th or a 6th meal, sometimes literally just Cheerios and blueberries with some almond milk and a protein shake. The luxuries of flexible dieting are that you just know exactly what you need, how to get it, and you don't have to have any guilt. There's no wondering, did I overeat today? Did I undereat? You'll know because you tracked it. And that's, to me, that's very psychologically soothing. But at the very same time, I get that for other people, it's stressful, not good for their mental health. So just to summarize, I know I rambled a lot in that video, but number one, look into implementing a diet structure or pattern that sort of gets you into a caloric deficit by default. And then number two, simply think about getting a hobby that burns a ton of calories. CrossFit, basketball, golf, group cardio classes, breakdance fighting, maybe? You guys get the point. Thanks for tuning into the video. I hope this was helpful. I think this is a topic worth addressing because there are a lot of people out there who feel despair if they're like, I can't count my macros. I have too many work meetings. I have to order out too much. It's just nonsensical to try to track everything. I get it. Maybe you can take something from this video and apply it into your own life to try to start digging into your fat loss. And if you can't do that, shameless plug, coaching is always on the table. I am taking on coaching clients through the body recomposition that I own with my friend Josh. Ivory Fitness. Information will be popping onto the screen right now, which is cool. YouTube. And then lastly, I sincerely would love to coach anybody who is looking to make a difference and get the results that you've probably wanted for a long time. Thanks for watching the video. If you haven't already, liked the video, super appreciate it. Subscribe if you want to, hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.